Hello, my name is Tom Stapleton. I'm from soil.ie. Delighted to host Thoroughbred Tales this week. Our company, we work in the UK and Ireland, and we work with stud farms and racecourses. We provide a advisory service for biological farming, and we also provide biological products and services. We're the main distributor for products called Bacteriasol and Bacterialit from Sobac. Sobac are a French company, they're 33 years on the go. The basic principles are that we re-energize and rebuild that soil microbiology to improve root depth, to improve the exchange between the soil and the root systems, to improve the overall plant health so that you will have a denser sward, better sod underfoot, more macronutrients. So this week we will be focusing on stud farms and race courses and having a look at the different management tools that we can use to help with growth, to help rejuvenate land, and I suppose to optimize the nutrition that you have in the grass. That's one side of it, and then looking at the sports turf industry or looking at race courses, looking at how getting root systems growing deeper down into the soil structure can help with traction, with water percolating through the ground, and to have basically a better overall surface for racing. As you see behind me here, you can see Bacteriasol, which is the pallet. This is a 25 acre pallet, and this is the 600 kilo sling bag. So you have a ton pallet there which covers 25 acres, you have a 600 kilo sling bag which covers 15 acres, and that's about re-energizing the soil structure itself. We also have other biological products like we have here. We have organic seaweeds, we have mycorrhiza fungi, and then in the crates here we have Bacterialit from Sobac, which is mycorrhiza funguses and microplants that are put in compost or put underneath cattle in dry bedding or put underneath horses in the stable, which helps reduce ammonia and helps to compost then the straw and the material when it's cleaned out. So that's basically what we do. We hope to give you a good breakdown of how to manage farmland and rejuvenate farmland over the week. So stay tuned for our content, and I'd like to thank Thoroughbred Tales for the opportunity.
Hello, I'm Tom Stapleton. Delighted to be hosting Thoroughbred Tales this week. We'll jump right into it. And soil, what is soil? Soil is organic matter, it's air, it's microorganisms, and it's water. Okay, so within soil structure itself, organic matter, when it breaks down, so when animal excretes on the land, or if you spread dung or slurry, what actually happens? It can do two things. It can just rot away, or the microorganisms can break it down with humic acids and you get humus. So humus is the natural storage capacity of the soil, and the natural storage capacity of the soil holds on to the nutritional value and makes it available to the root systems of your plants. So you have water retention as well in your humus layer, and you will have root systems here that will help to grow down into your humus layer. And your humus layer essentially is the heartbeat of the soil. It stores the macronutrients and provides macronutrients to the grass, helped by your mycorrhiza fungi. So the way soil should be, it should be chemistry, physics, and biology. But the current kind of farming model and the pressure that we put on land and pressure with livestock and poaching, we've actually reduced the amount of biology and the physical structure. Okay, poaching and that as well. We suck the oxygen out of soil, and when you suck the oxygen out of soil, that is a variable that will reduce the amount of life that's within your soil structure. So then we can become more reliant on the mechanical means to fix our soil and the more chemical means, because it gives us an instant hit. The longevity, or looking back to fixing the soil long term, the biological solution. So soil should be balanced. You should have biology, chemistry, and physics. So when we talk about biology, pH of the soil is very important. Should be 7 ideally, but nothing is ideal. So around 6.5. You have negative and positive ions in the soil structure, and you have your root systems when we talk about the physical structure and the water being allowed to drain away. And then looking at the biology, you have your mycorrhiza fungi, which are very important. They help to basically the root systems to absorb nutrition from the soil. You have your protozoa, and then you have your ant, your worm, spider, and your dung beetle. They're vital in the soil structure. They're the free volunteers. They're working away when you're asleep. The worm is really important because that helps to create vermicast within the soil, helps to drain the land. This is Sobac, how Sobac works. So within Sobac, you have different microorganisms and bacteria and mycorrhiza fungi. that help to break down your organic matter and make it available to the plant. So you have stronger, healthier plants. So you have basically your autotrophic microorganisms, and they actually help to take carbon in from the atmosphere. So there's loads of free carbon and nitrogen in the air, and there are soil microbes that can bring it down into the soil structure. Then you have your organic matter, which, when broken down, can form a humus layer. So a humus layer effectively is the storage capacity, which I spoke about. You have your pantry there where it stores your macronutrients. It'll also store moisture, and it'll improve the soil structure and help to aerate the soil. Your root systems then will grow down into the soil structure, into the humus layer. So you have all these kind of microbiology and workers. So you see these guys over here chipping away at source rock. So there's protozoa and bacteria that can help to release minerals from the soil. And then you have the mycorrhiza fungi around the plants. So they act as messengers to say, hey, there's a little bit of copper over here that you need. And the root systems, they help the root systems. So they nearly have a symbiotic relationship with the root systems to tell the root system where the nutrition is within the soil structure. So the 360, grass into the animal, out the back end of the animal, back into the soil structure, the microorganisms, worms, help them break it down, and then back up through the root system. So photosynthesis has a large part to play in this as well, the plant taking energy from sunlight. So how does bacteria and bacterial soil improve the humus layer? As I said, the microorganisms and the bacteria, funguses, and microlife have the root systems to grow deeper down. So typically we're seeing an improvement in macronutrients. So here's a field treated for 2 years versus untreated. The root systems are growing down 140 centimeters on this side. See the root velocity up here compared to the control that hasn't got it. Also, the pH improved. It was 6.42 on the sow-back side versus 6.17 on the non-sow-back side. The earthworms improved. There was 880 on the sow-back side and 420 on the non-sow-back side.
All these plants together, with their versatility, they cause an incredible difference to the soil and to the animal health. And if you look at the animals or at the soil after 3 or 4 months, you will see the difference. This multi-species and herbs have solved problems for farmers who had problems in the field. So you can imagine what it can do for farmers who don't have problems in their field or in their soil. Dairy farmers are overwhelmed by the protein in the milk, by the butter fats, by the increasing yield. They are able to monitor it every day on the milk tank, where other farmers can't see that. But if the dairy farmer is happy with it, it's a definite sign that it's working for the ground and the farmer.
So it's working for mares as well, mares and foals, and the milking mares as well, because of the biodiversity and the root systems of the plants growing down deeper. You're probably getting access to way more minerals.
Yeah, if you look at the size of the leaf tells you everything. You know, if a leaf is healthy, it means it's coming from the roots, and the roots are healthy. And when you see a lovely green wide leaf, you'll know that it's good underneath the ground, and it doesn't have to be fed every 6 weeks.
And for your herbal mixture, what rate would you be recommending, let's say per acre, for stitching in?
For stitching in, 1 kilo an acre, in most cases of the herbal mix is enough. You know, if some people go higher, go 2 kilos, depending on the farm practice and what the requirements are.
Yeah.
But
the last mixture I would have got from you would have been the kilo of the herbs mixed with, I think it was 12 kilos of the grass mixture.
Yes.
And we stitched that in, and it works fantastic.
Yeah, and in that mixture there's timothy as well as creeping red fescue, and there's ryegrasses, okay? The combination of that gives a very high fibre diet to the horse, and that's what they require.
Perfect. Tom, thanks very much.
Okay.
Tom McGuinness's field. This one here is untreated with sawback,
and we have a comparison here side by side with just ditch in the middle and this field. You can see the difference in the grass density. So we'll go out here to Tom. We dug a sod 6 inches by 6 inches from each side, and the one on the left is the non-sowback. Here is non-sowback, and the one on the right is the sowback side. So I'm just going to, you can see the difference in yourself. So there's more plant ratio. If we did a grass analysis, you see the difference in the color and the pigments of the grass itself. So we know that there's more feed value in this. The actual soil itself is lovely brown, golden, with loads of root systems compared to this one here. Tom, just talk us through it. This field that we're standing in here has had sowback for...
It's going on 5 years now. 5
years.
And this field originally was, just put this down for a second. Yeah. This field was originally in lupins and triticale, and we overseeded it after the crop. We were told all the nutrients would be there from the triticale lupins. The grass that grew from it came up a very scaldy yellow with no root development, and the grass used to grow about the length of my hand and shoot out. It was completely under stress. There was no tillering of the roots, and the cows and the cattle would come in and they wouldn't eat it. Yeah. When it rained, the water would sit on the top and run off it, didn't penetrate down into the ground. Okay. A couple of the fellows working with me wanted me to plough it, and that's when I researched sowback. When I started using the sowback, within, I'd say, 3 months, I could see a difference, and definitely the animals could see a difference, which is more important. And the grass, you can see the thickness of the leaf of the grass. It is a lovely lush grass. Now this is ready for silage. It would have been cut yesterday. Only thing, I was waiting for Tom to come to video.
I'm delighted to be here with Peter O, the manager of Fairyhouse Racecourse. We're lucky enough to be working with Peter and his staff here for the last 4 years. Peter, how are things?
Good. Again, it's approximately 4 years ago that we first started using the sowback product following what we saw in the Irish field. So Brendan McCarroll can take a bow for that.
Oh, don't give him too much credit.
So look, we've used sowback. We started off with a very small area, less than an acre, and we tried it. I was a little bit sceptical at the beginning, but I tell you, my eyes have really been opened. This year we're probably going to about 60 acres of the track here at Fairyhouse. As you can see, the track at the moment is looking in great condition. All our main track we will get a shot at, and all our inside track as well, which we use during the winter. It certainly helped in terms of root structure, in terms of drainage, in terms of the growth of grass and everything, and it's been a very positive impact here at Fairyhouse. And as well, we have to remember is that the sowback have come behind us in these difficult times, and they've sponsored races last summer, and they sponsored a race here in January. So, you know, they put their money back in, so it's not just taking in one hand, they put it back in. It's very positive, and my experience of the biological product that we've got here has been very promising. People would say that I don't spend money easy. As I said, we did 1 acre in 5 years ago, and this year we'll probably do 60 acres, and that's my faith in sowback, and hopefully it'll continue. And the track has never looked better, and I put it down to sowback along with our own team of lads in terms of our aeration process and everything else. So it's a learning process, but I'm very positive of the feedback we've got from sowback.
Peter, thanks very much. Thanks for the interview. Thank you. Peter, sowback is just one aspect of it, but there's an awful lot more that goes into track maintenance and preparing the track for a race meeting to have it raceable for horses. Would you like to talk about Fairyhouse and how they approach that?
Yeah, I suppose we're all very conscious of the day to produce the best optimum ground, and it's not easy. It doesn't come overnight. When people arrive, they race and they go home, but as soon as they go home, our process very much starts for the next day. The track we're racing here now, we raced here on last Friday. Ground was soft to heavy, rain during racing. It was all the worst attributes that you could have for an evening. We did team in on Friday and Saturday, walking back the track. We rode it, and this morning we started to verti-drain it. And again, you can see the little aeration holes that we've had, and just to help level it off and to get the ground back to a level. But you know, it is very much a team, the Fairy House team, in terms of walking it back. There's no physical way of getting ground back except manually, and then we roll and verti-drain to get it back, to break up compaction. We're very fortunate here with the spread of ground that we had. These 14 yards here that we raced on last Friday. The next day we raced, which next Friday we race outside and all together, so this ground won't be back unraced for a number of months. So by constant moving is what we aim to achieve the optimum racing surface.
And how many days time will you race again?
I race here in 10 days time.
In 10 days time. And
but none of this ground will be used at all. We'll be going outside the outside rail on ground that hasn't been raced on since Easter.
Since Easter Festival.
So and grass growth this year has been very poor. April and May has been very poor grass growth. It's only literally in the last week that grass is absolutely shot out of the ground.
And even as we speak here, the guys are out cutting the grass. I don't know if you can see the mower over there, and there's another tractor in the corner over there, and they're verti-draining as well. So there's an awful lot that goes into the preparation of.
Yeah, absolutely. But you remember, like this year, last week was the first time we cut the grass twice in the same week, whereas normally in the middle of April we'd be doing a lot earlier. So it's been a very different year, but you have to evolve and change to suit the seasons.
Delighted to be here in Fairy House with James and Richard, who look after the track here. So Sobac has been used here on parts of the track for the last 4 or 5 years, and we're standing in a non-Sobac area here now, where we dug a sod that hasn't got Sobac, and we brought a Sobac sod from just beyond us here. And I'm here with James. James, what do you think? What's your observations anyway from?
Well, you can clearly see this is the Sobac, better root structure on it, even a different colour in the soil, just a lot different, a lot more air in it.
Yeah, you can even see the side profile there. It's like a pan, and it's sealed, whereas here it's a lot more crumblier. And just looking at the overview there, you can see there's more root systems on it. And you happy enough with how Sobac's performing on the?
Yeah, absolutely. Over the last 4 years, we've seen a big change in the root structure of parts we've done. So yeah, be happy enough as part of our overall plan. It's definitely playing its part.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other factors then to take into account when you're managing the track, because you know, horses running 400 or 500 kg animal, you know, they will, no matter how well the soil is or the root systems, there will be kickback and sod pull. So there's other factors to take into consideration with maintenance on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to get ground back after racing, it's a big job at any time of the year. But
you can have mechanical aeration and all that, but if you have more microbial activity in the soil, the microbes and all that can do half the job for you. They work on the ground more, and you can see by the colour of the soil, the humus content of the one treated with Sobac is an improvement on the non-treated over the 3 or 4 seasons we've had it. And it leads to everything better root structure, better water movement in the ground, drainage is better. We have big ponds of drainage here.
yeah, the only difference with the two samples we have here is Sobac.
The dairy farmer here in Cork, this field here, the field on the left, is a non-Sobac field, and you can see the cow paths where they haven't broken down, where you have the tufts of grass growing, where the nitrogen is concentrating, where the stool is. So we know from this field that the worm activity and the microlife within the soil isn't probably where it should be at. Whereas you come across here to a field as it has the Sobac, basically what happens is, the key difference is that the worms and microlife start to break down the dung and break down the organic matter and disperse it, so you don't get that kind of appearance of the polka dot appearance of all the dung paths growing in different parts, where it's more uniform growth, whereas over here you see it that it's growing in the concentration of where the dung is. And then we dug 2 sods, one from each side, and you can see It's far stickier here. This is the non-sowback side where there's a bit of a pan and there's far more moisture. But there are good root systems in it. See, there's more root systems on this side, on the right side, and it's way freer. And when you turn it upside down, there's a lot more grass as well. The leaf is far healthier and that. So that's the two fields. It's good to always have a comparison because then you know where you're coming from. Track foreman Chris Shanahan in Tramore, and Chris looks after the track here. Chris, thanks for talking to me today.
Well,
How long are you here, Chris?
10 years coming on, 11 years coming on this year.
Oh, fantastic. And would you be able to describe just the maintenance? Because a lot of people who would look at turbot tails, they wouldn't realise the effort and the workload that goes into maintaining a track and maintaining the turf and the structure.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of work. Imagine after a race meeting, after 100 horses going around the track 4 or 5 times, the track is well tore up. So it's our job to try and get it back to as good as ground as we can over the next meeting. So what we do is we usually sand this and sprung it back, get all the divots back in, and then we put some fertiliser. We're using this new organic fertiliser now, and we try to get as much root down into the soil as we can, get it down as far as we can. So hopefully, with the next meeting, that ground will be all level and back again, you know.
Yeah. And do you move the rail then after every meeting?
We try to use the whole track. We try to every meet to try and get away from the ground we ran on the day before, so we start in here and then we walk out here. Then that's the next track, and we're getting away from the bad ground. And then we go on the next day. We go out again, and we get away from that ground. And then we get to the end, and then we start back in again for the next day. So it's a kind of a rotation.
Yeah. And with a tight track like this, the horses would travel the ground a lot more than say a bigger track.
Yeah, well, you see, because it's such a small track, and it's kind of a race here is maybe 3 times around the track, where an ordinary race is 1.5 maybe. So we actually get the ground here gets totally tore up because it's nearly, when we do 7 races, basically nearly 9 races, because it's a lot of, it's nearly 3 times around every time. So, and then 2.5 times for the short race. So everything happens here like just twice as bad as any track. And the fact that it's so narrow is that we don't have the width to give a full scope. The track is as narrow as we can get it. So that's why the soil is. It's very hard to maintain when we have such a short window between races.
Yeah, and other kind of maintenance things that you do, you overseed.
Then we do a scarify in the summertime. We might do a scarify every year, maybe in the summertime. Then we do we did have a couple of years ago. We done every 2 or 3 years we do a sand mix from Wexford Sands, and that goes out maybe 20 ton. We haven't done that for a while. We actually think we have too much sand on it, so we're actually stopping that. We're trying to use as less sand now as we can. We're going to try and do more organic feed, organic fertilizer, get away from the old type fertilizers, and we're going back to trying to get to this new organic stuff. It's what the climate accepts, so we need to do for the future.
Fantastic. And how many times or how often would you cut the track here, or would you?
Like during the summertime, it could be twice a week, maybe 3 times. And this time of the year, we get one cut every 2 or 3, maybe every 3 weeks. Now I haven't started cutting this year yet. It's only March. I'll actually be getting the mower out next week, so that's it. And then from then on, it'll be hell for leather all summer.
Fantastic.
2 or 3 weeks.
You mentioned there that you're going greener. You've built a reservoir here on the track to, I suppose, to reduce the amount of water that you're using and to harvest from rainfall, really.
Well, yes, yeah, but we built a huge. We have 2 reservoirs now. Actually, the one we had originally was too small. We'd empty it very quickly because when you're watering in the summertime, it gets Tramore is very dry. It's what the southeast he said. It's very warm. We get good summers here. It dries up very quick. So we'd be using tankers, and we have 2 water machines here, which they reel in themselves. They're automatic. I wish they were automatic. I've got to set them up anyway.
Fantastic. Everything to make the horse safer when travelling on the track.
We do. The reservoir holds 160,000 each. that could be gone at the end of the summer and then refilled again during the winter. With natural rainfall. We pump water up from down where the water collects and fill the reservoir. So we don't use any.
More race course. I'm currently putting out a bacteriocide mixture with carbon, seaweed and mycorrhizal fungi on the copper beech trees. We also would have sprayed bacteriocide on the parade ring here last year. As you can see, it's starting to turn nice and green. And this is the mixture here that we're putting on. So just use your little coffee cup or a paper cup, and you're just putting 50 grams at the base of the copper beech. So that'll really revitalise and bring the copper beech to life, back to life. And that it'll re-energise the soil underneath. You can see it there just at the base of the stem. About 50 grams per tree. And then what we do is we just water that in then. Absolutely nothing like a nice dip in the sea here in Waterford. Lovely weather. It's still cold, but I got in. Great on a day's work that when you're passing by, you have the shorts and the out car. Just to demonstrate what sod pull is, root systems growing sideways and animals grazing the land, they'll, as they're grazing, they can pull up the sod. They can turn it up with their hooves, and I suppose it's an indication of elements not getting into the grass and lack of mycorrhiza, and that to get the root systems growing deeper down. But here you can see, if you pull, you'll see sod and all coming. You pull it here as well. You'll see some sod coming with the actual root systems. Common problem on a lot of farms, root systems growing sideways and pulling the sod, and animals been able to pull the sod up. I'm Tom Stapleton. I'm here with John Nalland from Manila Racing. I was lucky enough to meet John last year when he made contact with me about the sowback products for his grass gallop here. John, how are things?
Grand, Tom. Yeah, great. You thank God.
Good. You found out about us through Peter Rowe, I think it was.
Yeah,
so.
Peter Rowe. I saw Peter Rowe put it on a couple of years ago in Ferias, and I read about it and asked Peter one day, and he said it's good stuff. So we had this land we bought, and we're putting the grass gallop on it, and we reseeded it with the sport grass or whatever, proper gallop grass. And it was land that was in corn for years and years, so it's a mile circuit. So we want to get a root base to make the ground kinder. So we put a sowback on it last year, and we gave it twice as much on this year. The roots are, you can see the roots are.
It's starting to look really well, actually. Yeah. And have you galloped any horses on it yet?
Very little yet now. I just canted the young horse around, but didn't gallop anything, because it's corn ground, it's dry, like you can still do the bone, and it's still like even with weather, just have to get a sod on it first.
Get a sod on it, yeah. And over time that'll happen. And you've some views around here in the background there. You sleeve them on.
And the comers.
And the comers over here.
At the back,
yeah. So you've a fantastic view. Will the plan to be to put jumps out or hurdles?
We could put up a circuit of kind of pine fence on, and we'd have it for school and for next winter, please God, if we get the ground soft enough.
So there's corn in the middle there. This might be the first scoop on this, but you'd nearly park a few cars in there for a point to point, John.
You would sometime, maybe, hopefully, yeah.
Well, John, thanks a million for meeting me today, and we might go to the yard now and have a look at a few horses. Thanks.
Great, thanks.
So we're just back down from the grass gallop. I'm back here at John's training ground, where he's the sand gallop and where his youngsters are, and where he breaks in horses. John, your face lit up when you came back here, but you're around the horses again. But just want to talk about the hotel. There's light at the end of the tunnel, because you'll be opening, hopefully.
Please God, we're open today. Like, we'll be open from now on, and hopefully things will rock on now. But I mean, so it's just hopefully it'll move on now, and we get people over next winter. We get loads of people over for racing packages and for point, and then get loads of tourism for the year we had, and people come to see. So hopefully we can make make use of the look we had.
Well, it's unique in that you have the hotel in Clonmel, but then people will have the opportunity to be able to come out here and see, you know, the morning horses, the morning lots ride out.
For the summer, we have loads of people now want to come out and see the horses. Like, so some people are into it and they want to see everything. More people are just happy to come out and see. They don't know what, you know, but like for the people that are interested, they want to come and see what you do with them and how you get them going and see the young horses in the fields and see them riding out and see horses school. And they're like, they're the people that they want to see things and get them interested. And so maybe they might buy a horse or they might go racing or they might do something, but they put something in somebody's pocket.
Yeah. I think there's an appetite for that.
Hopefully. So even if they only buy a steak off me, at least I get something off them. Keep me going some way, you know. So at least you just have to roll every dice and hope. Some of them you don't know, sure, you know, like you don't know what floats their boat, but you just keep floating the boat, try and keep them interested in something and just something different that you like. Not every place a hedge fund hotel like with all the business whistles can't show them this, like, so it's just something different, something that that you, like.
And you're a family hotel.
A different experience, your family hotel and family businesses, and hopefully like the public in the country will look after the family businesses now. Like they kept the show going, and the man that'll get you a shirt in a draper shop at 11 o'clock when you're stuck for it, or somebody will give you a gallon of diesel at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're the people that need to be looked after now, because they're the people who keep the show on the road. Yeah. Not the multinationals, like.
Yeah.
And and I think the public will, like, you know, they can, like,
Irish people were very supportive.
People that keep an empathize, but you know, everyone has their, like, there's an awful lot of people with a lot of money left that couldn't spend it. And hope.
When they come out here, then, if they were to ask you, John, what you look for in a foal or what you look for in a horse at the sales, or
actually, look, you'd be looking at the catalogues, you'd be going through, and you'd be looking at pedigrees and looking at this and that, and then, like, it's like the fellas years ago going to discos, like the one they wouldn't look at is the one to take home, so you don't know, like the other ones that walk out. So like you mark a list going up, and sure, it could be for the fairies when you get there. Like, so, like generally they have to have presence, straight walk, and like the ones that you really want will jump at you. You won't keep going back long. I mean, you say he'll do me, like, and you know you'll big head and grow into like a foal that, like, foal has to be a bit plain, a bit strong to make a jumping horse, because if they're too pretty, they'll always be too pretty, you know. So you have to have them just a bit coarse and a bit strong, and come from a good place that where they're well reared, not mollycoddled, that they're well reared and just get plenty of feed.
Some strike rate having 2 big winners in 1 year. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was unreal. But
great for Irish racing.
Look, yeah, mighty, and we got them. They came 2 good farms. Like Minalindo came, Dick Lawler's only over at the boat of Steve them on, like, and like that was a great family, like, and you know, a great, like, there were great stock coming on, and the breeding the Carrigain, the dynasty is there for 30 years, like, and that they were breed loads of winners always, you know, and he just came through. He was always a good horse. I mean, the first day we had him, we put long reins on him, he got away in the lunging ring and he got it for 40 minutes. I said, this horse, he did, like, you know, like, he was just a strong, hardy horse. And many of the times then he came from Cahill Ennis up in Castleton, up in Meath. Cahill has a lot of good mares and good pedigree, and Oscar horse out of a mare that won, out of a mare that was out of a mare that won a lot of races, and like the other pedigrees, like, you would, like, maybe they always, even in the greyhounds, they say, like, it skips a generation, like and like, you get a really good race mare mightn't breed a good horse, but her daughter might breed a good horse, you know, and that's the way. Now, he was many times with a sharp horse. We ran him the first day, we thought he'd win, and he fell at the last. He had won in Bell Clare, he fell at the last, and Michael Hyde and Frank bought him. Bell Clare, he fell at the last, and Michael Hyde and Frank bought him a couple of days later, like, and he looked a real sharp horse, but like national horse. But at the time we said he was a bumper horse, he was a 2 or 2.5 mile horse, and that's what wins nationals, I suppose. A faster horse to be able to travel.
And is there, like, I'm thinking the next time you go to the sales looking at foals now, there's going to be a trail of lads following you. Will you be able to get a bid on for a foal?
Well, sure. Hopefully I might have a few foals bought for the trail that are following me. Or something. But sure, look, you have to, like, you know, to value my, you know, foals for the year last year, like, stock is, like, the real one is worth a lot of money, and the other ones are not, and then the ones that go wrong are worth nothing. But like, if you can reduce the wastage, like, you have a chance. Even if you're only selling sliced pans, if you're throwing out too many, you'll go broke. So like, whatever you're doing, if you can reduce the wastage, you'll survive. Like if you buy the proper stock, hopefully you'll have less wastage, you know.
And what's the significance of your colours?
They were the boss's colours. The boss is a Banner man originally. They're nearly Galway colours. If he wasn't a Galway man, he's an Offaly man. They're there for 50 years, like, you know. That was the, you know, and then we named them all Manila after the hotel, and we stuck to the name. People said maybe you're foolish for doing that, and I said, should we stick to our guns, like, and thank God we did, you know.
Fantastic. And with the Manila racing then, like, are you open for syndicates to come in on point-to-point horses, or are you more to sell the point-to-point horses, or what way?
We do our own thing, like, that's like trainers, just like, they like trying to keep owners happy and keep, I'm again trying to keep the public happy the whole time. So when I come out here, I just try and keep me, whatever happens in here is just down to me, and that's it. And you go and try and get him sold, but you don't have to be answering to anything, you know. That you just do your own thing, you know.
Well, John, it's fantastic talking to you and coming down here. I always love coming down here and that. And the very best of luck. And I hope you have a successful opening with the hotel, and you have a few more winners sold.
Get down for your staycation out to Tipperary, and you'll be able to see the home of the horse.
Happy days. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm here with Michael Grasick on the Curragh. Michael, he'll be going into his third year using biological soil amendments on the fields outside, and here in the middle there of the yard is done as well. But Michael, how are things? Are you well?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, having a good run of it at the moment, so long may it continue.
You are. Is that 3 out of 5? 3 winners out of 5 or 6 runners?
Yeah, we've had maybe a few more runners. We've had a couple of 2 seconds as well
in the last
in that last 7-9 days.
Yeah, and this is for Hyan here beside you.
This is for Hyan. Yeah, he won there probably about 10 days ago up the Curragh, won a Premier Handicap.
Guineas weekend.
Yeah, Guineas weekend. So he's been a great servant to the yard. So he owes us nothing, this horse.
And he won the Scurry as well, didn't he? 2 years ago.
Won the Scurry 2 years ago. Yeah, he's go back for it again. Now he might run the Rockingham maybe in a month's time, pending the ground isn't too fast, and then long term is try and have another crack at the Scurry.
He quickened away very well when he won on the Curragh on Guineas weekend.
Yeah, he was very impressive. I felt the draw was a huge bias on the day. He got a fresh strip of ground and he was gone. He broke very quick and was gone. They never really got it. That day the pace was all up in front, nothing was making up ground, so but no, he couldn't have done it any easier than he did.
And then you had a quick fire kind of double with Longshore.
Yeah, he won Ferry House on Friday and then won again then on Monday in Roscommon. We ran him back quick because he was getting a big penalty, so he just ran with a £6 penalty on Monday and won again, thank God. Annalise Cullen was very good on both days.
Fantastic. So so a good strike rate the last few days. So anything to look forward to, or any horse that you want to tip up?
Tip up? Oh, well, there's plenty there still hoping they'll win their races, so we just unfortunately a lot of mine want an ease in the ground, so I might have a bit of a couple quiet months ahead, but no, Texas Rock, I think there's definitely a race in him. Cactus Tree, I think if she gets her head in front she could win a couple of races, and I'm hoping this fella here maybe might go close in the Scurry, please God.
Sand in plastic, and what we're going to do is we're going to use a control, and we're going to have 3 treated grass seed sand pots with various different elements. So the first one's going to be control, that's going to be grass seed, and we're not going to put anything else on that, so that's going to act as our control. The next one we're going to have grass seed and bacterisol. We'll just zoom in there so you can see the grass seed and the bacterisol pellet and the plastic container with the sand. And the third one then is grass seed, bacterisol, and a really high quality organic seaweed. And the fourth one then we have grass seed, bacterisol, seaweed, and mycorrhiza fungi, and a Sharpie pen. And we're going to come back in 4 or 5 weeks. I'll have taken over the Thoroughbred Tails for a week. So it's the 5th of February now, and we're going to let the sand pots progress. We're going to give it about 10 mils of water per week, each pot. And you will see the growth stages. I'll take photographs each week and I'll put it up on the Thoroughbred Tails account on the week that I take over. And you can see the difference in terms of root systems and the grass growth at that particular time and do a comparison. So it's important to note that when horses, people see them running on the racetrack, there's so many different phases to get the horse to the track. So there's nutrition, there is soil, type of grass they're eating, the macronutrients in that grass. There's a whole number of different factors and variables before you see them on TV. So just to give an appreciation of what stud farmers do in terms of their, husbandry and in their farming skills, that it's very important to get the soil right to optimize nutrition in the grass. So I'm going to fill these sand pots now. And now I'm going to water them when I'm finished. I'm here with Johnny Murphy from Thoroughbred Racing Syndicates. I came out to have a look at the fields and have a look at the land and that. And I'm going to speak with Johnny now just to tell me about his racing syndicate. It's important that his land is right here, because when the horses are on their break, they'll come back here to graze. It's lovely land, it's limestone land. The soil is lovely and brown. And I'll talk to Johnny now. Johnny, how are you doing? Are you well?
Yeah, good. Thanks for coming out today, Tom.
No problem. I'm just going to zoom in there on the brand, the Thoroughbred Racing Syndicates. When did you start the racing syndicate?
I started originally kind of when I retired about maybe 3-4 years ago, and then kind of put a bit more, I suppose, corporate entities behind it today. This year, we've 10 horses in training, all with Joseph O'Brien currently. So we've 6 2-year-olds and then 4 older horses. So and the main reason he came out here was because we have behind you there, we've a mare called Me, Myself and Moss. She's in foal to US Navy flag. So I want to make sure that all the paddocks are up to scratch, particularly for grazing, and then from a racing perspective, that any time we buy anyone, they come home here, spend 3 or 4 weeks before heading down to Joseph. So so it's great to have you out. And
are all your horses with Joseph?
Yeah, all horses are with him. We have a syndicate on the go at the moment for the Racing League, a new concept over in England. We've got 3 horses for that. And they all spent their break here when we bought them in January, February time. So they spent 3 or 4 weeks here each, set them up nicely before they head down to Pilltown, down to Joseph.
Fantastic. And who can get involved? Or
anyone get involved. And
different levels?
Different levels. We've levels ranging from kind of 2.5, 5 grand, 2.5k, 5k, up to the biggest one, which is 50 grand a share. So and that all multiple horses in each syndicate. 3 or 4. There's 3 in the Racing League syndicate. There's 2 in the Rugby and Racing one, and now there is and then we've got 5 in the 2-year-olds.
Will they be ready to hit the track, do you think, or do you have anything?
We've had the first 2-year-old out, Relax Artist. He was 4th in a maiden in Leopardstown. He's entered again in Listowel this weekend, and there was an entry for Maritime Wings, who's our Glen Eagles colt, for next week. So starting to come kind of thick and fast. I would imagine that our Luke de Vega will be out following that, and then we've Footsteps in the Sand filly. And then we've an Australia colt who'll be kind of back end. So yeah, hopefully now we kick off and we start, and we kind of continue as we've started. It was a great run by Relax Artist first day. The Racing League one, which is the syndicate on go at the moment. We're heading down to Joseph tomorrow with those members that are currently in. And we'll make a plan from there as to when they'll get runs before the Racing League, which starts the last weekend in July. It's a new concept where they're trying to, I suppose, combine what T20, F1 and horse racing kind of all together, those ideas, and have a team and I suppose a pit crew like they do. Kevin Blake is the racing manager. Joseph and Dunick are the only 2 Irish trainers involved. Each race is worth 50 grand, and then there's a prize for overall winners at the end of the competition. So pretty exciting. We're very lucky to be a part of it in its first year, and we think we've got some well handicapped horses. The horses, all races are for 70 to 90. So hopefully we can bag bag a couple of wins in that, and it's 30 grand nearly for the winner, so it's a nice return.
Yeah, and you originally set up as a rugby and racing syndicate concept.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I was my background is I was a professional rugby player for 10-11 years, played in Leicester and Munster, so I kind of combined the both between kind of horse racing experience and then going to matches, meeting guys. So we've had mornings on the gallops with Joseph, with the likes of Keith Earls, Andrew Conway, Conor Murray, Bernard Jackman, Felix Jones after we won the World Cup. So that's kind of where it started. We've had a lot of success with that, so hopefully that success can continue over.
And just in terms of rugby, I think you were the most times or most minutes on a pitch with Leicester Tigers.
I played a lot of that. Was kind of season Marcelo Fredo was there. He was top try scorer that year, so I would have played a lot over the 10 years. I was very lucky with injuries. I kind of only had one season really where it was kind of in and out. I have a bit of a dodgy knee from it, but like in general I'm pretty unscathed, so it was great. Rugby's been great to me, and I've always had, since my father was growing up, he's been involved in ownership for years, so that's where the interest came for me, and I'm kind of just continuing on. We run in the family silks, brown and pink sleeves and pink cap. So it's great to be able to combine the two, and rugby gave me the luxury that I'm able to do this, I suppose.
Fantastic. But you're still in rugby though, because you're coaching.
Yeah, that's right. I'm coaching in Newbridge College and Naas Rugby Club at the moment. So yeah, things have gone well. Obviously COVID has interrupted a lot of preps, and particularly from a school perspective, it's really hampered the teenagers that would have had cups. We got to the cup final last year that was postponed, first time in 20 years, and shared winners for the first time in 50 years. So disappointing to have for them not to have that day out. But look, we've all had to sacrifice things over the last 18 months, and hopefully we'll be able to put it right in the near future.
Fantastic. And we hardly thought, we went to school together, we hardly thought 20 years on we'll be standing here in a field with
crossing
paths again.
Yeah, crossing paths again. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things, I suppose, meeting your schoolmates again when you're probably grown up and family, both have families now, so it is very different to how we spent those 5 years in Newbridge College together.
Johnny, thanks very much for talking to me today, and best of luck with the Thoroughbreds Racing Syndicate, and I hope to see yourselves pass the winning post soon.
Cheers, thanks very much,
Johnny.
Tom.